So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
All right. Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. I'm Jason Shields and I'm big.
And I'm Marit Gabrielsen and I'm the tiny one.
Hello.
Good day.
Yeah. So, how you doing?
Fragmented.
Yes, fragmentation. We love it.
No, we don't.
Well, then you can see all the pieces.
Well, no. It's quite interesting because I think it's 2 episodes ago we had a listener send like a beautiful A4 page about a question about and one of the things he asked was, does things has to go up and down? And I kind of answered that. I said, yes, it's a part of life, and I'm really now in a down. And it has happened before, and it will happen again. But it's interesting now, because for new listeners, we are talking from 2 different perspectives. You have done it, I'm doing it. You have the knowledge, I'm trying to understand it. And from every turnaround, I'm also reading Wheel of Time now, so every time around the wheel, I do try to catch, okay, what's different now, because I've had down periods before, and now I have a new one. So what's different now from last time? And like I said, this down period is really rough. I'm gonna come to also. I've been contemplating if I'm gonna say it or not, but the yes, no, yes. Anyways, but I also see now that because we talked about what's it called, worldview and personal philosophy, and in the summer I did a specific change because I just said I'm gonna try this, and I changed on purpose my personal philosophy and worldview to everything happens for a reason. It serves me.
Yeah.
And it really is very helpful because now when things feels extremely difficult, I feel like fragmented. I feel like a car, we've been in a car crash and the front shield is just splintered. It's smashed. That's how I feel. I feel very fragile, very fragmented. But understanding that everything happens for a reason and it serves me, I know something good's gonna come out of this.
Yeah.
But you don't, but may not see that right now.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, oh, you're in a shitty situation and you go, yeah, but this serves me like this. You may see it afterwards.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I went to Amsterdam to a Queen Jiu-Jitsu camp.
Awesome.
Very good camp.
Rose
is having it. I would recommend to everybody that does jiu-jitsu in Europe to go there. That's female. You have to be female.
Queens and actually biologically female.
Yeah. But it's very... I went there. It's a very wonderful camp, but I felt horrific. I was not doing well at all. I had constantly headache. My body was aching from the first session. It's not a good time right now. But
and recovering from an injury.
So I'm not doing, again, feeling like a smashed windshield. It's also very good because afterwards I came home and I'm like, okay, everything. So what did I learn? Because being there, very nice girls, had fun conversations, but the feeling of how I was moving and my jiu-jitsu in general was not up to the standard that I do have for myself. I do move much better than I did. But coming back, I tried to kind of figure out, okay, how did this serve me? And it did, because it gave me great motivation, because we are hopefully going to Brazil in half a year. And it gave me the motivation to actually start having a training schedule that I'm following up. And not just to train, but I'm having like a system I'm going to follow for the next 6 months, because I just figured I do not want to feel like this when I go there. Also, I got to really see positions that I ended up a lot in that I need better situation understanding around, and that I need to improve on. And if I had been my ultimate self, I would never hand it up there. Because this is a situation where you end up when you are low on energy, you're not conscious, you are kind of just moving around, and then you end up in this situation. So it gave me a lot to work on. It gave me motivation and a direction for the next half year. But being in it is very difficult.
Yeah, that's right.
So I can see that just a change in worldview really has helped in that understanding of this down period. Because it does, sorry language, but it does suck.
Yeah.
It is horrific. It's not, I'm feeling like shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's, I'm not here in a way. Everything's triggering, but having that kind of coming back to that, using moksha meditation that we learn in the 4-step continuum weekends brings me back to the moment.
Yes.
And keeps me not kind of throwing fireballs everywhere. And coming back that now it's not the client, this is a feeling I'm having. It's not the grocery lady, it's the feeling I'm having.
Yeah.
So you don't project to kind of you keep coming back, and then you on top of that put it's gonna serve me somehow. I may not see it now, but it's gonna serve me somehow. And it's really helpful compared to before, where I did use from the last round, I did use moksha, so it brought me back, but I didn't have a clear worldview, so I didn't have the forward view in a way, which I do have this time around. At least I do understand that it's heading in a good direction. And it's quite interesting since we talked about that 2 podcasts ago. So I just wanted to share that, because it is not always upward and positive.
Yeah.
You do have this, but now I'm looking forward to when it's going to start going up again.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly.
Because if it's like this now, it has to switch.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Because it's been better.
It's a cycle.
Than this.
It's a wheel.
So it's to be conscious, and so that he had that experience, that it does go down. It is what it's an of course, because you need the opposites, you need the polarization of the situation,
Exactly. That's such a beautiful statement, and it's such a beautiful perspective on it. Anytime you are feeling shattered, or you're feeling like you're broken into pieces, it's basically an opportunity to look at the edges of all the pieces. And that's really a discovery process, because when it's a whole, when you're all just, steaming forward in one direction, there's no real introspection. And it's just like everything's working, everything's good, everything's going. But then suddenly you get to a point, and usually it's before you actually take another level of consciousness. You take a step up in consciousness. And you've done that thousands of times now during our process, because like you just said, it's not the nice lady, it's what you're feeling inside. It's not the person that you bought groceries from, it's what you're feeling inside. Just the idea, the awareness that you project. Most people are not aware of that. They don't realize that everybody being nice to them very often is that they're just feeling good, and therefore they perceive everybody being nice, and then everybody being assholes is them actually just feeling shitty and vulnerable, and then everything everybody does makes them feel shitty and horrible, which means everybody's an asshole. They don't understand that there's a projection process going on, most likely, in almost every situation, unless you've got a really, really clear lens. And that's something that you get with lots of meditation over time, and introspection, and evolution, and experience, conscious living, which you've been doing. And I agree with you 100% that the hard times never stop, guys.
No, they don't.
The hard times never stop, especially if you are evolving, because you're trying to do more things, which means every process is a high and a low, and is a building and a tearing down, a cleaning up. I mean, you're going to make dinner. There's going to be dishes.
Yeah, and every time you do the Christmas cleaning, it looks like,
It,
yeah,
yeah,
it looks, your house going to look worse for half a day before it looks much better.
Yeah, because you have to tear everything apart in order to clean it, and then you put everything together again. This is that cycle. The issue is that, just like you said, Marit, I really love what you said, because you don't necessarily see where you will be going or why it is good while it's happening. You don't always get this running commentary that, oh,
this is going to serve you like this.
This is going to serve it like this.
You're going to use this in the next situation looking like this.
Exactly.
And I've never had that.
Right? Exactly. And that's exactly why you need to do the work that we're doing in the Integrated Human. At our events, the last one, we really went through worldview. We went through personal philosophy. And this dictates how you actually put meaning on the things that are happening around you. And you're like, what do you mean? I know what things mean. No, you actually don't, unless you've done it consciously. You actually are projecting meaning on things, because just like a person loves Ferrari and that getting a Ferrari is going to be the happiness in their life, they've just decided that. For another person, it's being able to have
a cabin in the mountains.
A cabin in the mountains, or maybe it's just to take a glass of wine with their loved one. What that thing is something that's completely subjective, and it's something that you've chosen, or you're unconscious and don't know why you've chosen it, and that you have chosen, and that you could choose again. Maybe enjoying and having your life fulfilled by the very small things that happen all the time in your life is better than trying to get that one big goal constantly. Though there are good and bad things about that too, but if you're doing it consciously, roll with it, let the good times roll. But if you're not doing it consciously, you have an issue. And the process of becoming aware as a human being, you will start to recognize that, hold on a second. I went down a little while ago and I went back up again. And actually it did that several times before that. And I always come out of these better, which you do. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And we talked about it. We kind of been, or not, we have, I've been at least thinking back a lot, kind of, and it's always interesting. And it is very easy with training, for instance, because you kind of, that's a specific situation, but say, and it doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu, it can be lifting or running, or, but you kind of, you have a bad session, you don't feel good, and then you have another, especially if you have two after each other, then you always have had bad sessions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But then if you then have the awareness and able to make some distance, but last Thursday was super good.
Yeah.
So a week ago, I felt like a superwoman.
Yeah.
Nothing could touch me a week ago. And now I feel like even a small breeze can kind of
knock
me over. And well, that's okay.
Yeah.
But if that change happened within a week, it can change as quickly back again.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, but also I'm trying to be aware of, okay, why is it like this? Is it can I see a pattern of why things is like this right now? Well, I had an ab tear for a month.
Yep.
So I haven't been able to move.
Yeah.
I've been feeling slightly sick. My throat been kind of clogged.
Yep.
It's my home life has been up and down because things been happening. So we kind of haven't had time to settle.
Yeah.
We've had events with Integrated Human. We're expanding that company, and the fall is coming in. So you're not able to dress appropriately for the weather in Norway because it's sunny, so you're walking with a t-shirt, and then after half an hour you should have had a rain jacket on.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very difficult.
Yep.
And a lot of things are happening from multiple angles. And I'm not doing the things that I normally do, because normally one of the things that I know keeps me strong and centered are training.
Yeah.
But it's very limited what you can do when you have an ab tear.
Exactly.
We figured out.
And the stress of having to go to a big camp where you're an advanced world-class player,
and you're going to be constantly tested by the people who are there, because you guys may or may not know about martial arts, but she walks in with a high ranked belt and people know that, okay, I can test myself on her. So she doesn't get any easy trainings, meaning that when she then goes into a group with 70 women who all are plus minus competitors, and they see an advanced player who won the bronze medal in the worlds, then they're going to test her. So she's been out with injuries and she has to go into that. It's kind of like, oh, I'm not feeling
It's a very
so fresh.
interesting, and then but there again, awareness is really important, because you are aware of where I'm aware where I am, and then I try to pick the ones where I know me and the person I'm rolling with can have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
They can learn, I can learn,
Yeah.
because I'm all for growing, and if I'm not growing, I'm not willing to jeopardize my health for anyone.
Exactly. And another thing, though, this is something you are for growing, and do you know how I can prove that? Is because with all of the challenge, you still decided to pick the part of your game that hasn't been actually worked on and developed for
Now I started a new game a year ago.
Yeah, you started
a week ago.
Not a year, a week ago. Like, you're like, yeah, we used to look at that like 3-4 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, like 4 years ago. And you're like, yeah. So you take that.
There's more. It was my blue belt. So
blue belt.
Early blue belt. So it has to be, 6 years ago.
6 years ago. So you haven't touched these techniques in 6 years. So what does she do at this camp?
I only do that technique.
You only do that technique. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, but I think...
Because you are interested in developing more than anything.
Yeah, I think it's subconscious, because want the growth. So my unconsciousness is there.
Yeah.
It's looking for that.
Yes.
And then it wasn't before mid-camp I understood that I'm not playing my game at all. Yeah. I'm ending up on the bottom constantly.
Yeah.
But then my head was hurting because people were grabbing my head, and I'm like, well, everything happens for a reason, and it serves me.
Yes, exactly.
And that's so, coming back to that, to change that worldview, I didn't quite understand how big of an impact that could have, especially in this more downwards period.
Exactly. Very well said. And these rhythms, they're basically rhythms. And everybody thinks that everything should just go up and should never go down, and that up is the only good direction. And that's not true. Sometimes being mellow is good. Sometimes having an inward moving emotion gives you time to feel and introspect and time to calm down. It's just like the cycle of winter and summer and fall and spring and just getting those things rolling. Each one of them has a pearl. But to recognize yourself in that cycle, in that system, and that you are a human being, yes, but you are also part of the world. You're part of the earth. You're part of the cycles of the winter, of the summer. You are part of that ecosystem, strangely enough. I always bust people at the events by asking, so who likes to get out in nature? And everybody's raised their hand. I'm like, so who likes the mountains more than they like New York City? And everybody raised their, mountains. And I said, yeah. So who thinks they're really getting out to nature when they're in the mountains, and that they're not in nature when they are in New York City? And everybody's like, oh yeah, New York City's not nature. Show me one thing in New York City that's not in nature.
Doesn't come from nature.
Yeah, everything comes from nature. We are animals. We are part of this ecosystem. Though we, like an ant builds an anthill, we build cities, but it's still the same thing. It's just that the way we handle it, a relationship to it, is not the same, right? So
it's harder to project on a bush of berries.
Exactly.
Than on the cash lady.
The cash lady. Exactly. Well said. Exactly my point, because we can easily project our internal environment on other people, on the cabbie, on the prices of whatever. But, in nature, it's kind of hard to blame the rabbit that's running over the hill for my internal strife. It's like, so, it's interesting being a human being. And like I said, guys, you can work on your meditation, you can work on your satori and your samadhi and all of this, and you can see everything as light and love, which I do. But that doesn't take away the variation in the spectrum and in the colors in my life. I also have up and down times. I have times that my body needs rest and that it needs more activity. I have injuries, all of these things, and I have all of the human things. None of the human factor disappears because the human factor is part of nature. It's part of us. But to get the perspective on it, and I really admire you for that. That's hard stuff.
Well, you again, if every time you go around, you kind of, if you're conscious, you manage to see more. But it's kind of to catch yourself that, okay, now it's going downhill all of a sudden.
Yeah. What?
And kind of to have awareness of where you are. But I guess that takes a lot of practice.
It takes practice to catch yourself in not suffering with it. It's like you can feel like shit and you can have pain and you can have misery in a way as a human, but you don't suffer with it because you know it's part of that cycle. It's a part of a system in your life. You know, just like if I had to run a marathon right now, I'd be wrecked afterwards. And that being wrecked has to do with me running the marathon. You know, I was thinking about this. I had a friend who was asking me for help because he had to move all of these sacks of earth. And it had been raining, so I was lifting these sacks for him as he was inside doing something else. And he was getting paid for the job, and I was just doing it for a favor for him. So I was stacking these things, and it's raining, and it's sacks of earth. So what do you think I looked like?
Earth man.
I was dirty, man. I was freaking dirty. And he's like, "Hey, man, you want to come in for lunch?" And I said, "Yeah," because I came to help you with this thing. I didn't bring my lunch. I didn't know I was going to be here. And he's like, "Oh, actually, no, forget it because you're so dirty." And I'm like, "Okay." So I just got dirty helping him for free when he's getting paid, and then he doesn't want to share his lunch with me because I'm dirty. So his participation in me being dirty, for him, he didn't set the two things together. And that's very often the case that, okay, I'm stressed out and miserable right now. Why? Well, because I have 3 companies I'm getting up and going. I'm dealing with people who are demanding stuff. I'm working day and night. Of course, it's normal. It's normal to be stressed out and tired in that situation. So then people don't always see the connection, right?
Well, I think also that when you don't want to perceive yourself as weak.
Yeah.
So you say like, yeah, but I can take it. Mm-hmm. But it's not but although you can, for me, it's kind of, I'm slowly realizing that yes, you can take it, but first of all, should you?
Good question.
That's number one, because that you can take it doesn't mean that you should take it.
Good question.
So, for instance, in this camp, there were some really good judokas. They do throwing people things, and they're competitors. And I don't like getting thrown. I do actually hate getting thrown. I think it's horrible. I like takedowns, but you land so hard, and I haven't had that much practice. And I'm like 32 now, so to land with a person on top,
Yeah.
I can't take it,
You
but
can.
should I?
No.
I have training. I landed at 3:00 in the morning in Voss after the camp, and I had work at 6, and I had training at 12:30.
Yeah.
So do I really need
6 in the morning? That's 3 hours of sleep.
at 6 in the morning? So do I really need to take that impact?
No.
I can. Should I?
No.
And same with if it can be just everyday stress. Yeah, you're feeling tired and you have a lot of social things you should be on, but should you?
Yeah.
Or should you actually just say, no, what does it actually cost you?
Yeah.
And I feel often it's been very difficult because you want to be able to take it, and the word stress is, banned because you can't be stressed, because if you're stressed, you're weak. But it is allowed to have stress and not be weak. because it will be very natural to have stress in that moment.
Exactly, because it's not weakness; it's just
A fact
a
of
matter of
a fact. Because
Yeah.
well, so say if you have three companies, two kids and a dog, and are in the middle of a divorce.
Yeah, Jesus.
No, I'm not stressed.
Yeah, I'm not stressed.
I can take it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to work out fine.
Really?
Yes, it's going to work out fine. Yes, you can take it, but I would be stressed if I had one kid and not getting divorced and have just one company. So I think that's kind of, it's to allow oneself to have stress and understand, okay, right now it is very stressful, because that also for me helps me to come back.
Yeah.
To remember to do okay, when all of this is happening, I really need to at least do the things that I know works for me.
Yes.
So I'm going to go to work out.
Yes.
I'm going to have 5 minutes with my cup of tea or coffee.
Yeah.
I'm going to do these 3 things because I know these 3 things at least helps me.
Give me some peace.
They give me some peace. They give me something.
Yeah, that's it.
Do not let them go, because it's very easy in those situations that just, or I at least, if you see that I'm losing some of my training schedule, I forget to eat the good things. I eat more candy in this when I go, like you buy on the way out from the store and just have in the car. Small things like that comes in, other small stuff that's good for me goes out. So to catch that and kind of, okay, now it's a lot of wind outside. Okay, let's start doing the good stuff again.
Yeah.
Small, take away some of the things that have come in and bring in some of the old. That really helps when you know it's very stressful.
Yeah. And then you have this idea from Nietzsche, and which was amor fati, which means love your fate. And it's not just that you are, in a way, accepting what is, but it's like you try to love what is and love the fact that you're exhausted after a hard day. You know, the best pillow is exhaustion, meaning that when you have given everything you have to give that day, you sleep well. You know, it's kind of like you want to get to the point where you kind of are so aware in this cycle of ups and downs in life that you know what things cost. And you kind of like, okay, it's going to be a hell of a day, but I'm doing it because I freaking love it, or I'm choosing all of this. Therefore, it's lovely, wonderful to be exhausted at the end of the day because you've chosen all of those things and there's some kind of meaning there for you. But a problem is that a lot of people have forgotten that they've chosen stuff, and then they go through the day and it's hectic and crazy and they feel like hammered dog shit at the end of the day. And then they're exhausted and they just hate on the fact that they're exhausted. You know, I have a puppy. His name's Lucky. And he's been a little unlucky, you know, but he's with a couple of things, but he's an amazing pup. And I get to see how his mind is completely blank and he's experiencing the world. And he doesn't know what's good or bad, or he has no kind of projection on that. He's just experiencing and trying to build some kind of context. But having a puppy is always chaotic. And when you get tired and he, you know, makes a mess in the house, or he's, you know, you're constantly taking something away and putting it back in the dirty clothes hamper, and he goes in and he steals it again. You know, all of these things, that's part of having a puppy. And you can get pissed, but to start hating him because he's doing it.
You decided to get the puppy.
Exactly. And to love the fact, then you can kind of laugh at the fact you're getting irritated because it's like, I chose this. Exactly.
Yeah, but many of us have made that choice 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's the problem. And that's actually the biggest cause of depression.
I'm getting that every year when the army calls me back in.
Exactly.
It's not 20 years ago. I'm like, I chose that 10 years ago.
Oh, damn.
Damn it.
Yeah.
They're going to own me until I'm 55.
Shit. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
But it's typical because and I do get a reminder about the choice I made. Yeah. But when you're stuck in the choice, you know, you made a career choice to be a nurse or a medical doctor or physical therapist or an architect or not take an education. Mm-hmm. Although that's easier maybe to change because you can take education, but it's still when you've been sitting at the same job for 20 years, you forgot maybe the choice you made 20 years ago.
That's it. And this is actually something that's very important, my friends. Understand something, that the greatest obvious average cause of depression in society over time is your mortgage payment. And why is that? It's because exactly what Marit says, because you live in the house, so it's no longer your dream house, it's house. And you have to mow the lawn and fix the roof and clean the gutters, and kids lit something on fire and writing on the walls because it's no longer your dream to live there. It's just the thing you have to maintain. How do I know? Because I'm in that part of my life. I paid down my house and all that stuff. So it's just a house, right? And if it's going to take you 20 years or 30 years to pay off your house, that means that you have to have a constant income, because if you get halfway through paying for it and then you decide, or you lose your job or something happens, what happens? You
will still have to pay for your house. It's not like you're going to have to sell it.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're losing your house, right? It's your dream house. So you end up having to be locked to a job. And then you maybe don't like your job because your coworkers are assholes because you're projecting on them. Because you're stressed out because you have to pay your car. You don't like your job, maybe the things that you're doing at your job, or you.
And promise you, if you project on them, they're going to project on you.
And they project on you.
And you think that's why you get a bad work environment.
Exactly. And then they have office politics, which actually I found out the whole thing called office politics did not exist before 1980. Office politics, that's an idea, because before you just went to work and you went home. You know, your job was to shut up. But that's, school kids also did that. They shut up at school and they had to be disciplined. But the less disciplined we are at school, the less disciplined and more drama we are at work. And now we're at the point where you can't even correct a kid in school. You can't tell them that they didn't do something correctly. We're not talking about yelling at them or spanking them or any of that. They're not even able to take hey, my friend, do it this way instead, or that right there, that was dangerous. Don't do that. That's going to hurt somebody. You're not allowed to correct kids because they freak out and they're so drama. How do you think the workplace is going to turn out now? Right? That's a really interesting development, guys. So people forget that they've made these choices. So you have to constantly remind yourself that you are living by your own choice. And then much of the stress on your life disappears, and you can actually start laughing. And when you're on your way out, putting the jacket on to take the dog out, and the dog is running with you towards the door, and he ends up pooping on the mat on the way out the door. And then as you're cleaning that poop up, he's in pulling clothes out all over the floor, and you go and you take the clothes away from him and have to entertain him to get that out of his mouth. You take the clothes back in, and when you come back out, he pee-peed again. So then you clean it up, and what has he done? He's gone back into the laundry room.
You shouldn't just have taken it straight out.
But I was trying. I was putting my jacket on because it's raining like
crazy.
It's raining like crazy these days in the morning. I was just
but you should just left the poop and take him out.
I should have, right? And it's just cray ball. And then I just look at myself and I'm all frustrated and I'm all chaotic and laughing my ass off because it's just ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. But I can only laugh because I chose it. He's my puppy, and it's a little bit of humor. It's kind of funny that he's like, it's just, and
he's just being a puppy.
He's just being a puppy, right? Just like the banks just being the bank when they send you the house note. It's really, really
it's the agreement you made when you built the house.
That's it. Exactly. It's a choice,
Yeah. No, so then you should look, if you're feeling going down, don't do this when you're feeling like you're going up, because this may kind of tear you down. But look, why, if you think everything sucks, or you're not where you want to be in life, or this is not what you imagine it could be, how did you end up here? Without blaming other people.
Yeah.
You can't, shouldn't, you can't. I'm going to say you can't. You can't say, yeah, but he made me do this and I had no choice.
Exactly.
You always have a choice, although it may not feel like it's you have one. Because
Yeah.
that I may not feel like you have
Yeah,
a choice,
that's
but
true.
you did.
Yeah. You
But
did.
we know that we do everything we can in that moment, and in that moment, that was the only choice you were able to make.
Yeah.
Going
exactly.
back, you would maybe have made another choice.
Yeah, because you didn't really fully understand the consequences.
Yeah, or
whatever.
you were
Yeah.
whatever reason. But why are you right where you are right now?
Well said.
Without blaming others. What choices did you make?
Because if you don't own that, you won't own the fact that you could make new choices now and do something completely beautiful in your life.
Because then you can see that you have made choices, and then you can start making new ones.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the issue. There's always going to be a person that has been hit by a car, or lightning struck them in the face, and they, this weird shit happens out of the like a random circumstance. But it's about, what do you do with that? Those are all your choices. So your life is actually filled almost completely with choices. There are very few things that are absolute. There are some, but very few things in people's lives that are absolute and forever lasting and out of their control, and that they had no choice and no participation in.
Yeah, I mean, my experience is that people that are very successful are very happy. It's not that they have only good things happen to them, but it's how they relate to everything that happened.
Constantly, exactly, moving forward. It's just like,
and some have very good fallback. They have an automatic good response. I did not.
Yeah, but
working
you do
on
now.
it. Working on it.
Yeah, you do now. And that's the thing. Do you recover from your injuries? Do you recover from your setbacks? Do you recover from being exhausted? Do you recover from not getting what you deserve? Because I almost never feel like I get what I paid for. In that same...
Very few times I feel like that I'm getting what I deserve, or or what I put in. I'm like, I put that in, I got that out.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I look at there is that maybe my expectations are in a theoretical world. And then I go, that's right, because I'm not present in my moment. That's how I reorientate myself. So I use that for orientating myself to my moments, because I do that constantly. It's like, I thought I should have gotten this, but I got this instead. It's because what I got is in the moment. It's real. What I thought I was going to get was what I thought. So, I guess my thoughts weren't integrated with the facts on the ground. Interesting, Jason. Keep working. And that's a process that I'm constantly working with. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, so I just wanted to share that, because since we talked about that from our beautiful listener that had that question about why does it have to go down? Well, I can also say now that with more and more time around, if you're aware, you will see that you can handle the down period different. So it's still down, but it's kind of, although it's going down, you're still going up.
Yeah.
You're still progressing. You're still having a development.
Yeah.
And you see that in those terms.
In the world of personal development, as the wheel turns, the only way the wheel can move uphill towards higher evolution is through work and consciousness. And that's what you're feeling. Congratulations.
Or like you just got hit by a car and your whole windshield is fragmented.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I go for that one.
Yeah, I think you're kicking ass. You're doing great. You are. Remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then you're energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day, and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.